So now we know that Mrs. Awosika is in the house, and I am going to be bringing her up right now. So, okay. We're going to be welcoming her with her favorite song, and she doesn't even know that we have this song ready for her. So we're going to make her dance in today. Are you guys ready to see Mrs. Awosika dance? All right, she's going to dance for us today. Auntie.
Yes.
We have a song for you that we know moves you in your place of praise and worship. Auntie, you need to bend that. You need to bend it down a little bit for us.
I was trying to. I thought I had it all set up, but you know all these your things.
I know.
Okay, so is this better now?
Okay. Okay. Almost there. Almost there. I think, except if you're going to try and sit up a little closer to it. Is there any chance you can move your chair a bit?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Let me raise that. Oh, I think I'm already at the highest. Okay.
Okay.
I'm fine.
We'll make do with this. We'll make do with it. I can see your face. Okay. Okay. So now this is the only part where you have
my face and you can hear me. You can see my face and you can hear me.
Okay. Yes, of course. Okay, Auntie, this is your song now.
For those who don't speak Yoruba, I should interpret it for you. Because what he's saying is, I'm praising the God that watches your back but never puts you to shame.
Oh my God,
So
that's
what it says. That I praise that God that always watches my back and has never put me to shame. So.
Oh my, that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Well, Auntie, I know you have a very short window for us, and for that reason, I would like to quickly bring up your profile and read your profile. We were going to almost read it before you came, but I thought, no, it's nice to know that I'm reading and introducing you the way you would like to be introduced. And so there's hardly anybody that does not know IBUKUN AWOSIKA all across the world. And I'm not saying that in a way as to flatter you, but that is a fact, all right? However, what I will do is still read out the profile so that they can know a bit more about you. And for me, it is an honor and a great privilege to be able to introduce, to lead with FD, leadership conversations with outstanding leaders. Outstanding leaders. It is a great honor and a privilege to have on our show today, Mrs. IBUKUN AWOSIKA. IBUKUN AWOSIKA is the chairman of the First Bank of Nigeria Limited, Nigeria's premier and most valuable banking brand. She's also the founder and the CEO of the Chair Center Group. The companies in the group are involved in manufacturing, retail, and bankway security system services. IBUKUN AWOSIKA chairs a number of corporate and not-for-profit boards, amongst which are the Delight Design Incorporation, Convention on Business Integrity CBI, Digital Jewel Limited, House of Tara International, and After School Graduate Development Center, AGDC, a facility which she promoted to help address youth employability and enterprise issues in Nigeria. She sits on the board of Cadbury Nigeria PLC, Imperial Gate School, Peniel Apartments Limited, and she's also the chairman, GEMS Africa Limited, FBN Life Assurance Limited, FBN Capital Limited, and Kakawa Discount House. She is also on the board of the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, which is the agency that, in a sense, manages the Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund. IBUKUN AWOSIKA is a graduate of chemistry from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, and an alumna of the Chief Executive Program of the Lagos Business School. She's also an alumna of the Global Executive Program, an MBA program of IESE Business School in Barcelona, Spain, and the Global CEO Program of Wharton Business School. So she's not only on Wharton, she's on IESE, she's also on the China, European, and International Business School. She is, as you can see, not just an amazing woman, she is incredibly well-read, well-studied, well-informed. And therefore, I think that is something that also should intrigue and cause our generation to seek knowledge. I mean, just watching after her. Now, I'm just going to do just 2 more paragraphs, Auntie. Just hold on for me. With high interest in social issues of women, IBUKUN Awosika is a co-founder and past chairman of the Women in Business Management and Public Service, known as WIMBIZ. She is also the president of International Women's Entrepreneurial Challenge Foundation, IWEC, and she's an ordained pastor and the founder of the Christian Missionary Fund, which is just an amazing platform through which she's able to work with hundreds of missionaries across Nigeria to change their lives with the provision of medical, educational, and other supplies. As a fellow of the African Leadership Initiative, Aspen Global Network, Institute of Directors, and Society for Corporate Governance Nigeria, IBUKUN Awosika, through her projects, aspires to use her opportunities in life to further the greatness of her dear country by raising entrepreneurs to create jobs for the large unemployed youthful population that we have here in Nigeria. She is a member of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, NESG, served on the National Job Creation Committee, and sits on the International Advisory Board of IESE Business School in Barcelona, Spain, as well as the Governing Council of the Pan-Atlantic University. She is a multiple award-winning entrepreneur and the 2020 recipient of the Forbes Woman Africa Chairperson Program Award. She also is the first Nigerian recipient of the prestigious International Women Entrepreneurial Challenge Award as a nominee of the United States Department of State or State Department in the United States in 2008. She loves to watch investigative and legal series in her leisure time, and she's happily married to our uncle, Uncle Biodun Awosika, and they are blessed with 3 amazing, incredibly great, distinguished young leaders, emerging leaders, who she has 3 sons, and I'm glad to call them brothers. Auntie, you are such an inspiration. I know you deal with this all the time, and you know, the reason why we created this platform, Lead with FD, was because we know that we need to raise more leaders for not only our country but our continent. And as you have said many times, Black Lives Matter. And the truth be told, I believe that Black lives will even matter more when Africa matters and when Nigeria matters, because Nigeria has a role to play in triggering the development and the respect that the world will give to Africa, and by extension to all people of African descent. And so when you look at the whole, you know, this whole Africa thing, they always talk about the problem. Africa's problem is leadership, 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 leadership. And so how then do we find leaders that can teach and raise leaders? And that is why we're doing what we're doing. We're looking for outstanding leaders that can shine the light to our generation and be able to inspire us to be able to rise to the challenge of leadership and build great leaders. And Auntie, you are undoubtedly, when we did the last, you know, we always do a survey coming into every Lead with FD program. When we did the last survey, your name came up literally 6 out of 10. That tells you the way, and I know you talk about it, that you live on a stage. Every one of us lives on a stage and people are watching. Auntie, 6 out of 10 nominations were for IBUKUN Awosika. And so we are grateful to have you. We're grateful to have you in our generation, to our generation to see you. So we want to start with just you saying a word, but then I would lead the, I don't know whether to lead it into the next question, which is, what to you is leadership? And we would like to know, when you can tell us what leadership is, how your journey of leadership has been.
Thank you very much, fella, for inviting me. It's not as if I had a choice. Once you call, I had to find the time to make sure that I showed up, So, and that's what relationship is about. You build relationships, and there are days you will draw from them. So thank you for being an amazing support to Tara. And that makes you special to me in many ways. I call the guys who have the grace to support their wives to be the best of themselves. I call them gems amongst men. And I believe that when you find them, you celebrate them, and you make them know that they are special, and that in doing what they're doing, they're not only serving God because they are allowing the purpose of God in their wife to manifest, but they're serving humanity, because by allowing your wife to be everything that she's called to be, her gifts will bless humanity and bless her society. And that's what leadership is about. For me, leadership is a daily self journey. It's a journey of each of us daily expressing ourselves in a way that which we do will add value to our community, add value to the people around us, and add value to the community of the society where we live. It's not a title. I think that when you self-manage with intention to create value over time, it starts within your household, within your family. It starts at school, as you take on responsibility in your class, and you take on responsibility in the school, because they only make you like a prefect in a school, because in deploying your gifts to benefit the larger community in your class, there is a responsibility and a commitment and a discipline that you show, which then attracts the authorities in your school or in any society where you are to then think that, look, this person has displayed certain qualities which we're willing to submit to. Because you see, you earn leadership because of the gift of followership.
Wow.
You're not a leader by
Somebody please put that out there for me, please. Everything, every nugget that Aunty is dropping, please put them, just type them out so that we can just keep going through that, please. Go ahead, Aunty, I'm sorry.
You're not a leader because you call yourself one. Anybody can call themselves anything. You're only a leader in inverted commas because there are people who acknowledge a gift, a talent, something in you that they are willing to submit to. And in their submission to you is not servanthood. It's an acknowledgement to work with the gifts that you have to together create better value for all of you. Wow. So it's really important that for you to be an effective kind of leader, you must be a people lover. Because you don't lead things, you lead people. So you have to be a people lover. You have to have capacity to relate to every kind of person. Because you don't necessarily get to choose the people you lead. You will have a mixed mash of different kinds of people. And that journey tests your character. Because it brings out the best, but also reveals the worst of you. So it's a training ground. So when you're how do you say, you're a learning leader all the days of your life.
Whoa, I love that. You're a learning
no matter
leader
how much
all the days of your life. Go ahead.
Because no matter how much you think you already know, there will be new circumstances new people, new situations that will test and will challenge what you already know.
What you already know.
So it's your teachability and your open-mindedness that will continue to reshape and nurture you to be a better leader on a day-by-day basis. For me, it's a lifetime journey.
Oh my God.
Because there's no perfect leader. The day you think that you have become that perfect leader, that means you know more than everybody else. Nobody else has any value you can add to you.
Wow.
And you know, the best leaders are the ones who know how to draw from the strengths of all the people around them to create value for the community. Which means you don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the smartest person. You just have to be the wisest at drawing people together and drawing from their talents. Because if you have 10 people in your team,
which probably also means that you have to first also even be able to recognize that people carry.
Yeah, but it takes humility to recognize.
Oh wow.
Because if you are not humble, you will see people's strength as competition for you.
Oh.
You will not accept the strength of others, nor will you accept your own weakness.
Wow.
And your ability to accept the strength of others is what allows you to draw on their strength. Because then you're like, oh, you know, you are really good at this. I think you should take charge of this. So you delegate. A good leader freely delegates because you're self-assured and self-confident, and you're not in a competition with your followership, such that you do not acknowledge their own gifts and allow their gifts to bless the group or the community. But you must, otherwise you will be a failed leader, because I haven't seen one human being that is a master of all things.
Oh wow. So this is incredible. I mean, this is already leadership 101 for this entire generation. Now, the question I have next really is about your journey on leadership, because you mentioned two things, amongst so many golden nuggets, that it's a gift and the talent of leadership that you carry that causes people to willingly want to submit to you. And so I'm honing on those two things. Number one, there's the gift and the talent. And of course, if it's a talent, then it can be developed into a skill. But the question, therefore, is, so are there some people who are naturally born to lead? Or do we all have the responsibility of developing the gift in us? Is the gift common to all, or are there people who have it? And in answering this question, Aunty, you have proven to be a great leader. The question is, when did you start to notice that it seems like people are following? It seems like people are trusting. It seems like people are, in a way, delegating authority to me. Do you see where I'm coming from? So when did you notice that there's something about me and the fact that people are, so could you please help me weave those three questions? Are they born with it? Do we have to develop it? And when did you notice, and how did you develop it?
Look, I think everybody has the capacity to be a leader in many different ways. And our leadership opportunities, our leadership skills, our leadership strengths might differ, but it's because there are many that have talents and have gifts, but never emerge. And they don't emerge because they don't have the diligence and the dedication to work their gift and their talent.
Oh, wow.
So it's not enough to have it. You also require the commitment to utilize it and the teachability. Because if you have great gifts, but you have no tolerance for people, you will have the ability to, but it will never materialize, because you're not giving yourself the chance of expression. And you express it in how you deal with people. You might even express it in an offensive way. And if you express your gifts in a way that it offends other people, then people will not willingly submit to your leadership. Because you know what? The way I see it, you only have servant leaders. You don't have leaders. Because if you have leaders, I think something is already wrong. Because the best leaders must be willing to serve. So it's in your willingness to serve that others then serve you as well, or that others submit to you. And the gift will be nurtured in stages and in levels. If you are in primary school and you show a sense of responsibility, so your class teacher sees something about you, that maybe you're smart, you're diligent, when you're giving assignments, you take it seriously and you execute. So when they get to a point where they're trying to pick someone to take charge of something, your teacher says, okay, you know what, fella, take charge of the class. I'm going to the headmistress's office. Okay, take charge of the class means nobody should make noise. The class should be orderly and all of that. Now, you could choose to do that because as a power-drunken person, even at that age. Which means your teacher has seen something in you, but you have tried to deploy it in a means that will make others maybe despise you. Somebody else could be given the same opportunity, who would deploy it in a way that when you tell the class to choose,
they would be the ones to say, yeah.
They would be the ones to. Why? Because when she is in charge, assuming Tara is the other person, and I don't mean to cause World War II. Assuming Tara is the girl in your class that the teacher then chooses, and because she's forever smiling, both of you know how to smile a lot. You know, when she wants them to be quiet, she doesn't say, will you be quiet? I'm going to write your name. I want to do all of that. She goes, Tunde, be quiet. I don't want to report you to the teacher. You don't want that.
I don't want to report you.
So be quiet. I don't want you to get into trouble. Okay? So approach is important.
Whoa.
And acceptability, likability, that's part of it, even though it's the responsibility of leadership sometimes. Being a leader is not a popularity contest, but it helps the journey of leadership to be an accepted leader to the people that you're leading. So you must know how to be just, how to be fair, how to be equitable, and yet be firm. But you know how Yoruba people say, Bele, it has male and female. As in there's Bele, God bless you. There's Bele Joe, you know. I've said the same thing, but approach, language, you know, ability to draw people together rather than divide. Ability to build a consensus and move forward, and yet build trust with the people that you're leading in such a way that they trust your judgment. In the day where you're going to stand against everything everybody's saying, I say, look, I hear all of you, but from where I'm sitting, this is what we need to do. And I need you to trust me on this. So as a leader, you must find ways to engage with the people you lead in a way that they can trust you in the most critical times. Because there will be moments where you must be able to take a hard decision, even contrary to popular decision. And that you earn the ability to do that by your relationship and your precedences. If by your precedence they've been able to trust your judgment over time, and they know that you're a measured person and you're deliberate about stuff, and they also trust your integrity. This is another thing. Your integrity is not earned in one day. It is earned over time with your followership based on the things that you do every time. Such that they can reach a place where they can form an impression and an opinion. And you will trade on that as a leader at the most crucial time.
Amazing. And you know, one of the things that I always say to people is that what trust gives you is what is called the benefit of doubt. Because when people don't even know for sure But they say, you know what, like you said, they've seen your track record. They kind of like, they've experienced you at other times. They've seen you come out. But what then happens is the lack of trust.
They take a chance on you.
They take a chance on you. But then the question is, I mean, as you were speaking, I could actually go back in time. And I started to see some of the leaders that were in my time, as even from school, people who naturally, they didn't listen, they didn't know all these things. They hadn't read a leadership book. Nobody had come to speak to us about leadership in staff school, University of Ife at that time. But bottom line is, you could see these people emerge. When did you notice that there was something about you that was reflecting some of these things? When did you start to notice that?
Well, I think maybe secondary school. You know, maybe secondary school, and you do different things because you have to do it, and then sometimes because of that you're noticed or you're popular amongst your peers, and then you get given responsibilities. I think in my 4th year in secondary school, against normal norm, I was a deputy sports prefect for my house, and I was in Form 4. You weren't meant to.
For those who don't know,
Form 5.
For those who don't know,
I went to Methodist Girls High School with pride.
Yes, I was just going to say it today.
That's my school, and I'm very proud of it. Amazing. We went there in the days when it was such a great school. 140 years old right now. Oh, so that's what is the oldest girls' school in Nigeria. That's okay. So I think from then, and you know, these things sometimes, when people notice what you yourself have not paid attention to concerning yourself, it's usually others that first notice. And I think they challenge you by then giving you responsibility. Now, what determines if you move forward with it is if you accept the responsibility. Because don't forget, you can say, no, me, I don't want that. I don't want to ally. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And then you pull yourself back from the opportunity of expression. Oh, wow. And I would speak to the women on the line in particular. Women in particular tend to back away from it.
Yeah, step back.
Yes, you tend to, you say, oh, no, this person is better. That person is better. No, it's an opportunity to prove yourself.
I think a lot of people think it's humility.
I call it humility, stupidity, any of those things. Because, you know, life is a journey and life is a challenge. And if you are prepared for everything you take on to do, then you're already overqualified for that thing. So, frankly, except the challenge you take on at each point is bigger than where you are, you have no room for expansion. Yeah. Because it's in the place of new challenges that, you know, let me go back. As a Christian, my personal belief is that every talent and gift we will need for the entirety of the journey of our life, we already have. Wow. But we do not exhibit all of them at the same time.
At the same time.
At each stage of our life where we need it, it would come forth. And we live our lives in stages. Each stage reveals different parts of us. So except we learn to take on challenges bigger than us, we cannot allow the gifts within us that have not even been fully expressed to have the space of expression.
I love that.
So it's a journey. That's
so,
why I said,
so every bigger challenge is a call to draw something that is in you that has not yet come out.
Yes.
And this is amazing. And because, you know, I think that we also put out on my page, you know, all week we were trying to just announce and getting people to connect today. And so we're telling them you're coming. We asked some of the people to ask, what are some of the questions you want us to ask? And I think that the most frequent was, what kind of challenges has to deal with, right? What kind of challenges have you had to deal with? And I would like to put that on the back of another question. At what point in time did the consciousness of the word leader or leadership come into your being? You know, because you know how it is. You can begin to lead without even thinking, I'm trying to be a leader. You can begin to lead without anybody even saying you are a leader. At what point in time did it come to you that, hey, this thing
I can tell you, university,
wow,
and as a member of Junior Chambers International.
Whoa.
See, when I was in university, I had, as you know, you went to IFE.
Yes.
You are a thorough IFE bred boy. There
Born.
Many, born and bred in IFE, I know. Many things to do on campus. Many opportunities, either join a social club or join this and all of that. So your interest also defines how you express yourself. Now, I decided from my first year to become a member of the Junior Chambers. Why? It was a leadership development organization. And for me, it looked like substance, tangible things, rather than a social club on campus. So I didn't join a social club. I joined Junior Chambers. You learned a lot of things in terms of values of leadership, concepts of leadership. You listened to, you know, when people were planning for summer, I used to plan for the JC's World Congresses throughout university. I would go to far out places, as far back as my second year. I'd gone to Taiwan, gone to South Korea, gone to Colombia, gone for Junior Chambers International Conferences. And one of my most favorite sessions at the World Congress, they had a program they used to call Hour of Power. At the Hour of Power session, they would bring a world leader. I remember sitting in Colombia listening to Edward Heath. They would bring one global leader for 1 hour to talk to you about being in power and being in leadership. And I would sit there. I was 18, 19.
Edward Heath at that time was either sitting or former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
No, I think he was the Commonwealth Secretary General of the Commonwealth or something like that. Okay. I can't remember exactly. Okay. Sat and would listen to the different people they brought in from year to year and would take in all of this. Then they had another major program they used to have. It was called 10 Outstanding Young Persons of the World Award. They would pick the best minds from different countries around the world. He was British Prime Minister. Someone just posted it.
Yes.
I just could not remember what it was then. And they would bring all these, nominate these young people. You had to be between 18 and 40 that were doing amazing things around the world. Countries will submit why the particular candidate should qualify to be part of that top 10. I think it was Coopers and Lybrand's or whatever, one of the global accounting brands then, will collect all the results, that all the nominations. They will send them out to all the judges who never meet. They would consider all the nominations and they would mark them in terms of top 10. Everything will go back to Coopers and Lybrand's and they will choose the top 10 in the world. And they used to have this huge ceremony where you would see the 10 most outstanding young people in the world at the World Congress come out into this really grand ceremony. And I would sit in the audience and listen. And I'll watch and I'll read all their profiles. And I'll say to myself, if these guys can do it, I can do it too. And so it was my learning ground. So instead of being consumed with the social trips and all of that, that was a major part of my life. The learnings from Junior Chambers International, the learnings and the travels from being at the World Congresses and the kind of people that I met and listening to great leaders early, it gave me a lot of, it gave me a vision of leadership. It gave me a sense of value-based, right-thinking leadership. It gave me a sense of legacy and doing things in a way for the long haul rather than for short-term gain. And I never forgot all of those things, apart from the fact that I grew up in, my mother is Cameroonian and my father is Nigerian.
So you're half caste.
Looking at the world, yeah, I'm black half caste, just the black version of it. So learning from the multicultural part of my upbringing and understanding the value of family and of people. I think one of the best things I learned from my parents was to value people. To value people, to treat them right, to treat every human being with respect. My father had a very simple, humble attitude to life and to people. If someone came from the office to work in the house at the weekend, when they finish, even though they were skilled men from the factory and all of that, he would tell them to sit at the table with him, to join him in breakfast or whatever he was doing. You were not allowed to call a driver your driver. My father would ask you, do you have a driver? You don't. It's my driver. And you only have the privilege of my driver driving you. So don't ever say, my driver said, so it was the simple things. And my father taught us contentment, and we had no sense of what we had and what we didn't have. We were a middle-class family, and my father was a professional, he's a food technologist, and he worked across different companies within the food, FMCG industries of that time and all of that. So you grew up content, you focused on your education, you were taught to do the right things rather than the wrong things, and you were taught that family is important. And I still consider family to be important. I consider people to be extremely important. I consider relationships to be key to life. My family means a lot to me, and my friends, a lot of my close friends are really more than friends. They've become my sisters, and all of that. And relationships matter. So it's learning to pay attention to the important things in life. You would find that all of the other things, because you lead in your home, you have younger siblings, you have younger cousins, you have people, you lead in your neighborhood, all of those things add up as your training ground for whatever. And the principles are not different when you have to deal with a million other people, because it's about the people. It's having empathy, showing compassion, having consideration, sharing what you have, including knowledge, building a better community, because it's enlightened self-interest. When you build a better community and you make it works for all of us. I was listening to something this morning. It was Samadeh. There was something it said that, when you think about the fact that you solve the problem of your poorer neighbors, you make it easier for them to eat, you make it easier for their children to go to school, you make it easier for them to have stability of life. What you are actually doing for yourself is creating a situation where they are not driven to want to become armed robbers, to attack your house or attack your family, because you have created an environment where they can also have something.
So it's enlightened self-interest. It's almost in your own interest that everybody else should do well.
That's where I started from. My personal principle about life is enlightened self-interest tells you why the Bible says love your neighbor as yourself.
Whoa.
It is the biggest enlightened self-interest instruction.
Whoa.
If you love your neighbor as yourself and you make sure your neighbor is fine, you will be fine. You wouldn't need houses with a lot of high fences, because then you're not afraid of your neighbors. Everybody is comfortable in their own right.
Amazing. There's somebody who told me a proverb that I hear it's an Igbo proverb that says that when my neighbors are hungry, my chicken is not safe. Right?
Yes. If my neighbor's house is on fire, my house is already on fire.
So looking out for more than yourself, looking out for the well-being, the best possible well-being of others, not only relieves you of also the burden of carrying them, but helps us all together to become better. That's what I'm hearing.
It makes your life easier. You cannot afford to be a selfish leader.
Wow.
You cannot be all up. I imagine an entrepreneur like I am who has a business, and you decide that, oh, I'm the owner of the business, so therefore I am the one that must get all the money. Everybody else should be poorly paid, should be the welfare system in your company should be bad and all of that. You're a fool. Because frankly, you cannot do the job by yourself. Which means every person that works for you is as important as yourself. And ensuring that you pay a fair wage and that you're fair and you're just to the people who work for you is ensuring that the burden of building that business is shared.
It's shared.
And that there's commitment and diligence and a passion for your business as if it's theirs. Because why? You will all benefit from it. It's why companies give bonus and all of that. It's shared benefit. It's to create a place where we can all prosper together.
So let me now take this one step forward in your journey.
Yeah.
Was it your, so I know that you first started in your NYC in an audit firm, and then you moved to Alibert, the furniture sales, furniture manufacturing and sales company. Was there a moment in time that you knew that you had to be your own boss, for lack of a better word? And was it the leader in you that called that? Was it the vision that called it? Was it circumstances, opportunity? What was it that led you?
It was based on my value system. Because what it was is, I thought you know all that story.
Yes.
I wanted to, I did all my free electives in university in admin and accounting, even as I was getting my chemistry degree, because I thought thereafter I wanted to become a chartered accountant so I could go and work in a bank. So I served at Akintola Williams, which is now Deloitte. But then I realized, gosh, this is not what I don't really like it at all. But my personal belief system is whatever your hand finds to do it. So I did my job well. And once I was done, they actually offered me permanent employment. But once I know that I don't want to do something, I don't waste my time even trying to manage it. So I left and I served in Kano. So I came back to Lagos and wanted any job to start whilst I was trying to get my bank job. So the first job I could get 1 week after was in the furniture company. Now, when I was there, I realized that when I was at school and I was thinking of what to study between being a doctor, being an architect, and then ending up studying chemistry, that creative part of me that made me consider architecture came alive. And I loved what they do and all of that. It was interesting, but I hated the value system of the company. They had practices that were totally out of whack with what I believed in and the way I had been brought up. But I saw that I had interest in the business in itself. So without thinking much, I was 25 going on 26. I just thought, you know what? I can do what they do, but I can do it with the right value. So it was to prove that you could do what they were doing as a company
and do it right.
With the right values. That's the reason. Before then, I never thought for 1 second in my life about setting up a furniture manufacturing company. It was not even in my view at all.
You know, Auntie, let me just quickly jump in something, because I want you to, one of the things you've taught our generation, and I say our generation as learning from you, not that you are a part of our generation. Having said that, one of the things that I think that we've heard from you the most is a new concept of do it right as opposed to just do it well. So do it well is more result driven. And you know how we've come to that point where bosses say, supposedly leaders say, look, I don't care how you get it done. Just go get it done. Meaning do it well in terms of measure of results, regardless of whether you do it the right way or not. Well, you
cannot sustainably do it well without doing it right. And the word there is sustainably.
We are hearing you.
Which means that you can do it well if you are result driven alone for some time. There's a point at which it will fall apart. Because don't forget, a tiny hole can sink a ship.
It did sink the Titanic.
Yeah, a tiny hole can sink a ship. And if you continue to be consumed with doing it well without recourse to how it is done, without recourse to your value system, without recourse to your legacy, you will get to a place where your ship will drown.
Oh, wow.
Which is why you see a lot of people at a point, they just crash. They seem to be superstars. They're moving so fast all of a sudden. And then at a point, something that seems so minute brings the house of cards. It brings it down.
Wow.
So like in my entire life series program, one major slide that is never missing from any of my programs is the slide on values.
Thank you.
Yes, and that's simply because, look, in an environment where we seem to be redefining what is right and what is wrong, and everything around us keeps saying to us, it's okay, it's the end result that matters. In my 57 years of life, one thing I have come to learn is that doing it right will ultimately get you to consistently do it well. But it might seem slower than others.
So what the other path offers you is what is the promise of a shortcut.
Thank you. Is the promise of a quick run, of a speed up, of a shortcut. But however, what you don't look at
The
is
trade-off.
overall risk. The risk cost of what you're doing. And usually when you do it over and over again, you get used to it. So you become numb to the risk that you carry.
Oh, wow.
And go, you would realize that your bag of risk is full.
That is so powerful. Oh,
look,
wow.
when I started out in my business, at that age, I chose two things. I said two principles. I told you I started business for values. I was never going to sleep with a man to get a job, and I was never going to pay a bribe. Everybody thought I was some idealistic young woman, and I wasn't going to go far in business. Well, what it did was, once I knew that I couldn't play with those kind of false advantages, it forced me to pay attention to delivering right value and quality of product to my customers, and the quality of service that will make sure that they return. I had to seek to deliver true value to the customer, such that once they engaged me once, they were going to have to come back.
Since you already knew what you could not do,
yes,
it kind of like forced you to look at what must I do.
So what I always say to people is, define your values from the beginning of whatever kind of journey you want to get involved in. Define what your value will be. Why? If you wait to get to a crossroad before you're trying to define the value, the pressure at the crossroad can come to take a wrong turn.
Whoa.
But when you have thought about it in advance of a situation, when you get to a situation, you're forced to consider your predetermined position, and you will find enough reasons. Oh, there were many sad days for me.
I wanted us to get there quickly.
Oh no, there are many sad
What kind
days.
of challenges? What kind of challenges? What kind of days did you have to walk away at the cost of your values?
I think you can all fill in the gap where that is concerned.
My
Because
God.
it's simply, you can see people who don't know the job as much as you, some will get the job and they need you to do the job. But you can't get the job because you can't do what they are willing to do. It's okay. Over time, you sometimes you feel cheated, then you'll encourage yourself in the Lord, which is why your faith is important wherever you are, and also your support system. what kind of people do you have around you? Do you have friends and relationships that you have shared values, so that in those kind of times they can encourage you and uphold your hand so you can stand?
Well, that's powerful.
And then you will get to a place where you get the reward for it, because that's what happens. You know, you're doing it not because of anybody. You're doing it because it's what you choose to do. But like I've always said, we live our lives on a stage. The whole world is watching you. You don't know who is watching, and you don't know where they will speak for you or speak against you. And when people started changing in the business environment, and corporate governance and value-based leadership became a thing, you know, when people will make a short list, your name will show up there. Why? Because over time that you were living your life as you've chosen to, there were people observing and watching. Never mind that they probably didn't know what kind of price you were paying for doing that. But God is a rewarder. And at the right time, it became my advantage.
Wow.
And so when you say, oh, you're on this board, you're on that board, and all of that, the reality is I paid my price. Trust me. I paid a high price, sticking to those situations, choosing to do certain things as against others, you know, and building a reputation for that. You know, reputation is a currency.
Yeah.
You must learn to build equity with your reputation, because you will spend it, or there will be days where you will have no equity of reputation to spend.
Wow. And see, we have to try and begin to bring you towards a close, because I know that I asked for 2 hours, but I know we got 1. Okay.
I'm trying.
But I didn't mean to cut you. I just wanted to be mindful of your time. Okay. No So one of the things that I'm hearing from you that is so amazing is this issue about leadership. The reward for leadership comes at a high cost. That cost is most times your values.
For value,
but it will be
leadership. The reward for value-driven leadership.
Yes. The reward for value-driven.
There are different kinds
of leadership, and therefore different kinds of costs.
Yeah.
And this brings me to this whole, and you've shared this from the moment you started literally just sharing what your success principles were. So there's something I've always wanted everybody to define. You know, I love the way you've put it, personal belief system. I call it sometimes I call it what is your PVC, your not permanent voters card, but what is your personal value code? What is your permanent value code? But the way I want to frame it is something around which I want people to be able to take away. And there are many things that you've dropped already that are useful. What's your unique success philosophy? What is...
To be honest, the biggest thing I want to do with my life is to please God.
Ooh.
That is the truth. So I subject and submit everything that I have to do every day to how it relates to my faith.
Wow.
And that is the biggest thing for me. That at the end of the day, whatever I do, I will be able to stand before God and say, I did it.
Amazing.
If I can't do that, then it's not doing
okay. So I'm going to push for 2 quick questions, and you know, almost like
I'll give you a little bit more time.
Thank you, Aunty. Because I don't want to put you under pressure, but at the same time I was beginning to come under. So the
I saw that.
Which leaders do you admire? And this is a dicey one, because of course there are many people that I'm sure you admire, but you can't name all of them. But which leaders do you admire, and what leadership qualities would probably be amongst at least one of them? So if you mentioned a couple, but take one of them or a couple and just tell us the reason why this person is you admire this person so much is because of this thing.
Okay, so I love someone like Dr. Christopher Kolade.
I know.
And why? Because when you've lived into your 80s, at the highest level of a corporate career, actually there are two of them, himself and Chifolo Akinkugbe, at the highest level of your corporate and board career, and you consistently maintain the place of integrity and reputation to your last days. That's what I'd like to do with my life.
Wow.
I'd love to walk this journey to the last day, knowing that I can stand before God and face God, and hope that by the way that I conduct myself and do the things that I do, that others coming after me will be able to draw strength to stand to do it right. Because you don't teach doing it right just by saying. It's the biggest area where
showing.
The only way you can really teach it is by showing. Because
not by saying.
Too much talking. We do too much saying without doing.
The showing. I love that.
It's the showing, and that's the real work. So the grace to do it to the end.
Wow. That's
Those
amazing.
are my kind of people. And the other thing that I love in a leader is courage. The courage to buck a trend.
Wow.
The courage to stand for what you believe. You know, the courage to fight a fair fight for the right reasons. If everybody does not agree with you. Because sometimes in pursuing right doing leadership, you will stand alone.
Oh, yes.
But you must have the courage to stand alone.
Wow.
And you must have the courage to fight and defend what you believe until others come to. Now, combined with that, you mustn't allow pride, because you will be wrong. So you have to have the grace and the humility to accept other people's opinion. But when you know you have a clear conviction that what you're standing for is right, and usually those battles are based on right or wrong, or what is socially acceptable, or what you know is right, because they're two different things.
That something is acceptable socially doesn't mean that it goes with your personal value code.
Thank you. So once you know that it doesn't fit in, you must have the courage to stand up for it and fight, even if you have to stand alone. So that ability to have the courage to stand, but standing with wisdom, because you know, you don't stand offensively and push everybody away. Because if you're going to be successful in life, you must know how to build alliances, even when you disagree.
You know, I love this.
Learn over time.
I love this thing that you've said, and it just leads me to this next area that I think a lot of people want to know, which is what happens when leaders don't get it right. Well, in other words, they did it right, they did the right thing, but they didn't get the results that they either hoped, promised, or expected. In which case, everybody is saying you failed. How do leaders recover when you protect your value system, but failure seems to be the obvious outcome of going with your value system? How do you recover from failure as a leader?
So if you do it for the right reasons, because you do it for the right reason, but you execute it wrongly in a way that it doesn't achieve the goal. Now, once you have that situation and you can accept it yourself, that this is, look, I did this for the right reason, but it hasn't worked out as I expected. First, it's the type of moment you spend the currency of trust and integrity with your followers.
Wow.
Do they trust the fact that your intention is right, even though your deliverable went wrong? If they do, and you have the humility of leadership to go back and say, guys, I know I insisted that we should do this, and this is why I did. My reasons for doing it were right, and I was convinced based on these facts, but I was wrong in the way that we executed it. And the way we've executed has cost all of us this situation. I apologize. You should be able to apologize to the least person in your team when you're wrong.
Whoa.
That's part of how you gain credibility. Because otherwise, it becomes pride and power push. Because you're using your power over them to make a wrong right by not accepting, and you lose something. So just be transparent about it. You will be surprised that the same people will tell you that we knew you were right, but you could have done it this way to achieve the result. Which is why you cannot have arrogance of leadership. You have to be able to listen. And you know why listening is important? That even when you're standing alone, sometimes timing is key. Which means when you know you're right, but everybody else is not there yet, sometimes you can afford a bit more time to bring them along in order for them to see why you want to. At least get them to the place where you're not forcing it down their throat. So that's about how you handle people. That's also about how you build alliances. It's also about how you communicate. Because leadership is not power play. It's about moving everybody along to the place where you achieve your goal. And it's better if we do it together.
Amazing. You know, this what you've led, you know, you just keep leading me to the right places in everything I planned with you. You're talking now about power, which in, you know, I heard Dr. Kolade once say, he says, we are literally in a way, culmination of all the leadership influences that have come into our lives. And that is not necessarily to say that all of them have been great leaders, or in fact, most of the people that we have seen across Africa, especially, are people that have literally been more of powerful, power-based. It's all about power. And so here it is, generations have thought that if you can play the power game well, then you are the smart one, you are the leader. Because the people that we have looked to or have seen are the ones that literally have the arrogance of power, the big ones.
So I didn't hear the question well.
Okay, so I was saying that it seems to us that what we've been exposed to in Africa, and I would including Nigeria, has been more of leadership from the perspective of power, the power play, you know, and therefore whoever can play that
homes, from our fathers.
Oh yes, and we've seen it in, you know, we were ruled, we were subdued, and anyone who can subdue is called, and for many years I've tried to say that there's a distinction between rulership and leadership. In fact, that leadership is not, the opposite of leadership is not followership, it is actually rulership. Unfortunately, what we've seen here is that rulers have then called themselves leaders, therefore making their subjects feel like followers. How do we develop a culture of leadership?
What you need to remember is that what we traditionally had were not leaders, they were rulers. So that's why we still have kings. We had kings, we had kingdoms. So what we had were rulers. Their word was law. Whatever they did was acceptable.
And we've had traditional rulers, military rulers, different colonial rulers, colonial masters.
Yeah, so we transitioned from a culture of rulership to a political system that is meant to be supported by leadership. However, the mindset shift and the training to build leaders rather than rulers has been aborted at different times. As we started with the political system and you had the early political leaders of Nigeria emerging, you had the interference of the military rules. So we went back into rulership, exemplified by military leaders, and then we had democratic leadership in the middle of it and went back into military rulership again. And then for the last number of years now, we've been trying to build a new leaf of leadership. But it takes some generations and mindset and demand from followership itself. But that requires proper education of citizens.
Wow.
It means people themselves are educated enough to understand what their rights are and what kind of leadership they should demand. So our people are culturally developed to be followers of rulers. Which is
subjects of rulers.
Yes, subjects of rulers. So we make rulers out of democratic leadership. So you're a governor, everybody treats you like a god. You're a minister, everybody wants to bow at your feet. They will carry your leg, carry your head, carry if you allow it. So we ourselves are part of the problem. It's not just the people who call leaders. So there's a whole cultural, there's a whole change of mindset and education and retooling and reskilling and a whole generation that must arise that understand leadership.
Wow. And how do we get that? Because that was where I was going with this. How do we raise a new generation of leaders?
So it starts from schools, the culture we build in our schools. It starts from the cultures we build in our homes. We're getting there a little more because our children can ask us the questions we didn't dare to ask our parents. They can challenge your authority. I mean, the question you probably hear the most in your house is why?
Why?
This one, why? That one, why? You didn't say too many whys to your father when you were growing up because you hear some slap here or there or a knock on your head or something. So but it takes time. And we have to be teaching the right things. We also need to be deliberate about it. Even though as much time as it takes, if within a generation we have the right kind of leadership, we can jumpstart and tweak things in a way that people arise to it, because you will have to build it structurally into our system. We're going to have to teach what democracy really represents from primary school. We're going to have to teach our people what's in our constitution, what are their rights. We're going to have to explain how we conduct and how we hold leadership accountable. We're going to have to teach people what should we be looking for in the people that we vote to become our leaders. So there's a lot of intentional work that needs to take place across multiple platforms.
But you know,
we can't get there.
Yeah. Well, you know, so there's this conversation around this chicken and egg situation. Which one comes first? Sorry, I guess the obvious answer would probably be only if we go into the scriptures, because God never made eggs. God made chickens with capacity to lay eggs, right? So the question here is, sorry about that. There's just this interruption. Is it the rulers that will put the system in place for the leaders, for leadership to emerge, or would it be the leaders outside the system that will help to put this system in schools? Because if the rulers are in charge of education,
you need both, fella.
Yes,
you need
fantastic.
Both.
Yes,
you need both.
Yes, you
need the right kind of leadership that can humbly accept the limitations of their office and allow the functions and true democracy to operate such that followership can act in their own character. Yet, you need, which is why you have all of these non-governmental organizations and institutions and societies and churches and all of that, that can invest in affecting the mindset of people by sharing. I think for all of us, we don't have a choice but to spend a lot of time building people.
Okay.
We need,
well, Aunty,
one of the things for me, everything that I do is deliberate about helping to reset mindset.
Amazing.
Because until we get that, and with a multiplier effect in mind, because those who come to any of my programs know, for me, it's about paying it forward. It doesn't matter what we do, you must go and pay it forward, because I'm giving time and energy and life to ensure that I can invest in people. But for us to get to the numbers, we need to ramp it up quickly, and you need other people to take it to other people. And I know that we will get there.
Aunty, two questions I have for you as we begin to bring this to a close. Number one is to just quickly talk about your live series, because I'd like to know when is the next one and how can people get to know about it. I'm sure most of the time registration takes place on your bio in the Instagram, but the live series.
So it's either my page on Instagram, or there's a live series page on Instagram itself.
Okay, so live series. Okay.
Yes, there's
so we'll put it out
series. There. There's that live series, and then on IBUKUN Awosika.
When is the next one likely to be?
I think we're done with all the quarterly ones for the year. What we have left is our big one that we always have in December, because that allows us to accommodate a lot more people. And the December program is a big program. Last year we had 1,300 people physically present. And about 300 people from multiple countries connected internationally. The one we had last week, Sunday, I had people from 10 countries.
Oh, wow.
We allowed 340 something people to connect. So the December one will probably be virtual. We do a hybrid, physical and virtual, and it would probably be for about 2,000 people, because the audience would largely be virtually connected, but all presentations would be live at a physical location. And then we'll have about 100 mentors. And I think the date is 13th of December. We haven't put out the notice yet because we're working behind the scenes. But that's what it is.
Okay, so this is my closing conversation with you. And one of the reasons why I particularly want to touch on this is you've excelled at enterprise and entrepreneurship. I believe very strongly that entrepreneurs are very special kinds of leaders, because they have the ability to do two things. They solve problems and they create wealth as they create value. And in solving problems, they help to improve the society. In creating wealth, they help to build the economy. But again, like you've been an entrepreneur now going more than 30 years, right?
32 years in January.
32 years. So now in this time, and what has been the greatest challenge that you sense that entrepreneurs have dealt with from this COVID season? And how would you advise them to navigate this going forward, so that they're still able to deal with all this unprecedented kind of challenge that they're feeling?
I think it's been the destruction of value. There's been a lot of value destroyed over the period, because as businesses were shut down for extended periods of time, and you have fixed assets, you have fixed costs, you're running costs whether you open for one day or not. That is, and you also have people. You're not going to leave your people high and dry and just sitting there. So you were also burning a lot of cash over that period. So the thing I would say to a lot of people is, it is what it is. This is the reality of now. And the most important thing you will do this year is that your business will survive. And you must find the mode and the system for your business itself to survive.
Wow.
You would have to have that transparent, open conversation with people that work with you. In many cases, you're not going to be able to pay full salary over the period while you're rebuilding. So you're going to have to reach some sort of agreement. Some will leave, and it will be okay. There will be nothing you can do about it. And some would stay, and you build back together. If you have facilities in the banks or anything, and you're going through stuff right now, be forward-looking and proactive. Engage with your bank before they engage with you.
Engage with your bank before they engage with you.
Yeah, because it's a matter of credibility as well. And it also shows that you're thinking. You go and tell them the scenario of the business within this period and make a case for, I need 3 months moratorium, I need 6 months moratorium, whatever it is, and I'll start paying back. So they can hang it. Banks, they don't want your business to go down because otherwise their money goes down too. So to work with you to build a solution that would serve both of your interests. So you need to do, and you should do the same with your suppliers and customers and all of that. Then find, if your core business is challenged right now, look for other things that your same skills and equipment can do within the area, so you can continue to create value within the period. And then find unusual creative ways to earn income. Even if you're selling at a much lower cost, just so that you can generate revenue, you know, rather than, because you have fixed costs, whether you like, if you're a running business, you have fixed costs. So ensuring that you get some sort of revenue keeps you going without you thinking, oh, I'm not going to make profit. That's not your concern right now. Your first thing is that your business will survive. And find
cash flow is great. Yes,
cash flow. Cash flow is king for any business. So your biggest, it doesn't matter how many machines you have. If you don't have cash flow, the business will die. You know, so you need to find, how do I ensure that we can have cash flow? And if you need to lay people off, do it with grace and kindness, but do it because you need to. And when the business picks up, you can always rehire people. And it's not a Nigerian problem. You can see how many people are fallen in America, in England, everywhere. Many governments are helping to help, and Nigeria is helping too, because, you know, we have the Nigerian Sustainability Project, which is to help support businesses over this period. I'm actually vice chair with the Minister of State for Trade and Investment as chair for the MSME sustainability programs to help businesses post-COVID. And right now, there's schemes running. You should also look out for those kind of opportunities. There's schemes running that you can benefit from. There's the one that they opened the platform since 21st of September, where you can get salary support. You can get salary support for between 3 to 10 members of staff for a maximum of 50,000 naira for up to 10 people, and for a maximum of 3 months. Which means you can get up to 4.5 million as salary relief within your business, depending on which one you qualify for, based on the facts that are presented. Then you have, the government has the guaranteed offtake. There's certain product areas, state by state, that the government will order and they guarantee to buy it from you and be distributed to be used within the state. It's to help the businesses have cash flow into their businesses and all of that. That's a different scheme. And then there's the one for artisans and transporters who can, which we launched that, I think, on Saturday. On 1st of October. And that one, it's a grant. They get a certain grant that they can use to inject into their business. And for some businesses, what they're looking for is anything between 10 and 30,000 or something. They're not even looking for big amounts of money. But over the lockdown period, the entire capital was consumed. So you have all of those different kind of projects that the government is also working on as well, even in Nigeria. So as a business person in Nigeria, follow the information. Make sure that you check the newspaper, check online for all the information, and apply. Apply. Some people will get it. There's no reason, and the conditions are very simple. So you should be able to qualify, even though the maximum numbers per state, but it's there. So go and apply to get it, to be part of it.
Wow. Thank you so much, Aunty. And then this has just been an amazing experience. And we're going to be putting this, I'm going to save this and put it up on my page. And, you know, so if everybody's watching at this moment in time, it's been an hour and a half of just pure wisdom, pure nuggets of wisdom dropped hot by a true role model of mine, and I believe a role model for our generation, Mrs. IBUKUN Awosika, who is, amongst many other roles that she plays, the chairman of First Bank Nigeria Limited, now PLC at this time. So one of the, I just want to say thank you so much, Aunty, and I would just like to also announce that as a leadership coach, one of the greatest challenges I've been hearing people deal with are the things you talked about. People just saying, hey, I'm having to let go of people. We're struggling with cash. And I think that the other interesting one that is showing up is that some of the people that are staying behind are now so, they are disenchanted, they are disengaged. And many leaders are beginning to say to me, Fela, please, would you come and speak to my people? And I realize that it's like as if many of them are saying it's like almost like a tube that has a hole in it. Fela, please come as a vulcanizer and help us pump the tube. And what I've been telling them is, look, it's better for you to know how to become an inspirational leader than for you to just get an inspirational speaker to come and speak to your people, because they can get pumped up for a moment. But how do you patch this
inspire them every day?
Right? Yes, on a daily basis. And this is what led us to create something called the Executive Leadership Masterclass, right? Which is really a 3-day program that I've now created in October to help business CEOs of businesses who want to say, how can I inspire my workforce to deliver results and still grow, with the organization through these tough times? Because like you said, we are going to have to learn how to do more with less. Sometimes we're going to have to let go of some people. So that means that some people are being paid less, but they're having to do more for us to, So it's how do I inspire the people every day? And this is what it is that we're doing. So for those who are listening right now, please note it's Friday the 16th to Sunday the 18th of October. And it's going to happen between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. daily. And to register, it's going to be, we're putting out the registration out there. It's www.gemstoneng.net/ELM, which is Executive Leadership Masterclass. The focus of it is just to say, how do you inspire your workforce to deliver results and grow your own organization through this time? And the whole idea is you becoming the inspirational leader rather than just look for an inspirational speaker. Like you said, how do you inspire them on a daily basis? It's been an amazing 1.5 hours with you. Thank you so much for the time you've shared. I am sure that there's someone who 20, 30 years from now will still quote this moment as the moment in time, just like you were talking about JC's. There's somebody who's going to be saying in 30 years' time, I listened to Mrs. Awosika on the 3rd of October, 2020, and I got I got the essence of leadership. I redefined my personal belief system. I redefined my codes. I began to value people more. Auntie, there's so much that you have poured out, and we're grateful. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do for us. It's great to have you. Thank you so much. And I'm going to let you go now. Any final words? Any final words?
You could do anything you want. Just never forget that. You can achieve anything you want in life. Just do it. A stage at a time. You'll get there.
Amazing.
All right?
Amazing. Thank you so much, Auntie.
Bye,
I'll let
everyone.
You go now.
Thank you for having me.
Where's our music? Where's our music? Where's our music?
Oh, so I can dance away.
Yes. Auntie will give you the music in 10 seconds.
Who is your assistant, Tara?
Sorry. It's coming.
Okay. Thank you, guys.